Well, hi again and welcome to this video on website essentials. So we're going to go through 10 critical areas of your website that you need to absolutely optimize to ensure that you get as many visitors and convert your visitors into inquiries on your website. So we're going to be looking at mobile optimization, what's known as the form, so essentially the area of the website that can be seen the minute someone drops on your website, and where all these maximizing conversion points are. If you like these videos, don't forget to click on the subscribe button and switch on your bells for notifications so that you find out exactly when my next video is coming through to you. They're coming through regularly. We're doing at least 2 per week, and we're covering different subject matters from LinkedIn to websites to the current COVID-19 crisis as well. So thanks again, and I hope you enjoy the video.
So for those of you who don't know, Joseph Creative, we're a digital suite of stuff that we take care of, which is from web design, web revamping, all forms of social media, Google Ads, logo design. We obviously do training events, but we also help with mentoring and also consultancy with all things marketing, really. This is basically what I'm going to go through. A relatively short content guide, but there's quite a lot within this. So some useful facts. There's so much stuff out there on websites. It's incredible, but I've just kept it quite focused. Really about understanding your customer. So that's quite important when you're putting a website up there. Sometimes for some reason, when we get involved in websites, or when our customers do, they start to lose focus about who their customer is. I think it can sell to everybody. Really important that you understand your customers. So I'm going to go through a bit of that. The form, I'm going to explain to you what the form is when we talk about that in websites. And then I've got 10 critical website areas that really you should be ticking all the boxes with regards to those areas. And then I've got a little bit of a session just on mobile optimization, just how important mobile is. And then we're going to do some questions and answers, and then I can talk to you a little bit about the next webinar. Okay, so you can see all these so-called facts anyway, referenced from where I've got them from. And as of January this year, there's 1.7 billion websites out there, and that's growing at quite a rate as well. So just keep on coming up, which is incredible. And this is an interesting statistic. So it talks about your website. So 75% of visitors base your company's credibility on your website. So it's quite a usual thing when you, certainly in normal times, when you pass your business card to someone, they will go back and have a look at your website. And they base a lot of credibility about you based on your website, which is quite interesting because, you know, we all know we don't put as much effort into our website as we should. And so your entire credibility of your business is getting put on your website, and you may just be ignoring it. 86% of visitors want to know more about your products and services. So this is quite a common thing. Even I'm guilty of this, is making sure that we've got all of our services and our products up to date and live from our website. And there's no excuse really now, is there, of getting this thing updated, you know, rather than having old services and old products. And actually, more likely, you may have changed some of the stuff that you do and you haven't updated your website. So, you know, visitors are looking to see what you do. So it's important to do that. This is another fact. There's so many of these facts that are out there, but this is an interesting one. 94% of visitors don't trust outdated websites. So if your website looks like it's on outdated technology, then really what you're trying to do at all points in time online is get trusted. If you think when you buy something on Amazon, there's certain things you're taking for granted, and trust is one of them. You automatically trust Amazon, and you have to get that trust when you've got your own website. You have to earn it. Okay, so having an outdated website can cause you these problems. Now this was actually half a second. We form an opinion of a website in 0.05 of a second. If you think, I mean, it was half of a second, but I actually did some more research on this, and it's actually even quicker, some more recent research, and it's almost in a blink of an eye. And if you don't believe that, if you imagine if you've ever interviewed anybody and they knock on your office door and they walk in, before they've even taken a step into your office, you've made a decision whether they are getting that job or not. and they haven't even said a word, and they're actually now fighting uphill if you've decided, I don't like the look at it, I just don't like something, yeah? Because that's just subconscious mind in play, running much, much faster than your conscious mind, and it's deciding that this person or whatever fits the bill. But this is what's going on with websites. You get into a website, and your subconscious mind is doing all the evaluations in milliseconds and saying, don't like the look at this. And that's why you can get a lot of bounce off your site if you've just got a poorly designed website. 44% of visitors will leave within seconds if there's no contact information available. This is quite an interesting one. We're going to go through this and you'll start to see what that means, because you might think, oh yeah, I'm covered, my contact information is available. I'm going to show you it's not. Yeah, you think it is, and then I'm going to show you your contact information isn't as visible as you think it is. And then this is the sort of golden rule in marketing, and this can change between 6 and 8 seconds and all sorts of things. But we talk about 7 seconds to get your visitors' attention. So when someone gets to your website, and if they haven't decided just to go straight off again because they're in the wrong place, then you've got 7 seconds to capture their attention. And that's why a lot of attention is paid to people's brands. Does your brand say what you do? Bang, there and then. Because we're going to look from left and we're going to come right. In actual fact, if you just draw a big F on a paper in front of you, an F, that is the way a website is looked at visually, in the shape of an F. We go left to right, we come down, we go left to right again, we come down. So it's like an F. And if you don't get certain things right, you'll lose people's attention. 7 seconds. And actually, this is quite an important one. 70% of visitors pay attention to bullet points. So sometimes we've got a lot of really interesting stuff to say, and people want to see it. But if we put slab loads of text in, we're going to cause a problem for our visitor. The visitor experience, as we call it, and really use of bullet points is quite interesting. People will skip past opening paragraphs to look at bullet points, assess whether the content of those bullet points is in line with what they came there for, and then go back up and read once they've actually assessed they're in the right place. So using bullet points is really important. I know we've all got lots to say, but actually websites just aren't like reading a book. When we read books, we read it in detail. When we're doing websites, we scan things. And so picking up the fact that people are moving around in that way, these bullet points stop them. And that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so just briefly touched upon it before we started, that understanding your customer. I mean, in business, it's absolutely probably the #1 thing in marketing and in business, really, understanding who your customer is. And people find this one, sometimes find it difficult, and we'll talk about, I can deal with anybody, you know, and in marketing, that's like a disaster zone. We need to focus into who we want to deal with. The website's the same. Who is the focus of your website? Why it's important is because there's effectively 2 main ways people are going to visit you on a website. They're going to visit you either on their phone or they're going to visit you on the desktop. Trying to understand that relationship is important. So in a typical sense, what these figures are saying is that if you're dealing with a consumer, they're going to be coming to you on a mobile. And if you're dealing with a business to business, they're going to be coming to you desktop orientated. This is the orientation. So this is the proportion that where the majority of people are. So this is how your website needs to be orientated towards the majority of traffic. Because if you start to optimize it the wrong way, it could damage you, you know, in a desktop way, because you're doing it in a certain way, or it could damage you in a mobile way if you're not thinking about your mobile customers. The answers to those questions lie in Google Analytics. So if you look in your Google Analytics account, it will show you where your traffic and the volumes are coming from and which way it's biased to. But you can influence those numbers significantly in the way you approach your marketing. I'm not really going to talk about that today, but I will do next week in terms of, I mean, people on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everything else, 96% of that stuff is done on mobile. So if you start to advertise in those areas, you're going to significantly change the visitor traffic on your website. So you need to think about that if you start to do that, is that your website might not be geared for that mobile traffic, so you start to do mobile activity. Conversely, if you're doing more stuff that's desktop related, say Google Ads and stuff like that might be more geared to Google Ads, that's going to push your desktop traffic up. And again, are you geared for that? So these figures are all orientated around your customer and what your customer's behaviors are. Customer behaviors you'll see in Google Analytics. Okay, so I want to show you some examples of what we call the form. So I don't know if any of you have heard of the form, but let me show you what the form is. And I'll just stop sharing for a second and pick up another screen. Okay, so here's a website we built. I actually built this 2 or 3 years ago, actually. I still like it from how it works. So when you're doing specific advertising, you're going to bring people to specific pages, and the more you advertise properly, you're going to start bringing people onto specific services that you deal with. If you're not really doing a lot of advertising, 50% of your traffic will actually hit your website, your homepage. And that actually is a result of actually not doing enough advertising, because you don't really want people to hit here. When they hit here, look, you've got to look around and go and navigate. But I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in the form. So this company does all sorts of electrical testing. You see that from the branding, electrical testing, and the banner showing you different things. But here comes all the services. So if I just go into pack testing, this is an example of what we call the form, is exactly what you can see right now. This is really important on desktop, not so important on mobile. On mobile, we're very used to scrolling up and down. The form really doesn't apply. But with the form here, if you can see my cursor, is all this area from the top, just everything you can see on screen. So what can we actually see here? Well, we can see the telephone numbers, left to right. We can see contact us, yeah, and we can get a quick quote. And actually also they have online, which is offline at the minute, but a chat software. So 4 different methods right within the form. We don't have to move away. There it is. Yeah, and that's really quite important, because on a desktop, people very often just come in and they have a look. You know, the average time may be less than 30 seconds they may stay on your website. So they're looking for the answers to what it is they want. Yeah, and so we're getting the answers here straight away. I'll just look at some other examples, just hopefully this will work. You guys seeing a new website now? Just maybe nod if you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So again, here's the form again. So again, they've got chat software that's not on. I mean, this is just indicative of the situation that we're in at the moment. Some people switching these facilities off that they do have. But the information that you want, they're using a little bit more relaxed information, get in touch, but they've got the contact numbers available. And again here, the similar sort of thing. Joseph, again, similar sort of thing. So see, there's a reason why there's a habit, and the reason why they look this way is very specific, that this is the way you do it. It's like Amazon don't put that basket in the top right-hand corner because they think that's just the best place to be. It just is the best place to be. And there's no point being clever putting these things anywhere else. That contact form, that contact button here must be the furthest right button that you have. The only difference to that is if you've got an e-commerce site. And the stuff I'm talking about here really is around brochure sites. So on e-commerce, you'll be allowed to put your box, your basket on the right-hand side there. But if you're not, if it's brochure, then your contact always goes there. You need to be wary of that, because sometimes when you're looking at your website in different ways, it can move it around. And if it's not there, people go to look for it. They're not very, very impatient. I actually read, when I was doing some research for this, that the average, about 8 seconds is a concentration level. And I was saying 7-second rule there, but there was an 8-second one, which I thought was quite interesting. But they actually qualified it by saying a goldfish has a 9-second attention span. So people that come to your website have less attention span than a bloody goldfish. So really important that you follow these rules. If someone's telling you, some designer is telling you, like, I've got an idea, put the content on the left, or do contact on the left and put your numbers here, don't do it. You know, just follow these rules. These are really important. So what I want to go to now is really the 10 critical. So that's the form. Hopefully you understand what the form is. It's just about getting your information out there boom, in a jiffy, yeah? I want to go into the 10 critical website elements. The overall first one is a subjective measure, okay? But it is ultimately the most important one, because I talked about it at the start. Someone's coming within a millisecond and making a decision about your website. So that means that the single most important thing is the first impression and the actual design of your website. Fundamentally, you know, when we send out some letters to business owners locally, and the number one criteria for sending that letter out will be that they've got a poorly designed website that gives off a bad first impression. You know, what's the old saying? You can't make a second first impression. You only get one go at it. So, and here's an example. I picked these websites just because they are quite good. So if we go into this website here, so this is if you want to get married in Sicily. What a beautiful, stunning image. So the imagery is doing a lot of work for this site. There's the couple. These are people that did get married in Sicily. This is not stock imagery. There's the venue where you would have your wedding reception. It looks stunning, doesn't it? And this is actually a Taormina in Sicily. Absolutely gorgeous. So you see how the website's doing all the selling for itself. The first impression is lovely. If I even move here now, we've even done a little bit of work with the branding here, where we've created the Isle of Sicily and in the branding, and moved it up and down just to make it nice and nice and visual. So first impression is singularly the most important thing about your website. Not really a technical thing, is it? In terms of a geeky thing, it's just a factual thing. So if I look at the next one here, so this is a relatively recent website we designed. So this is something that's coming into the play more and more. So the faster and faster people's connectivity gets, the more use of video you'll see. If we look at our connectivity, we, on average in the UK, we're getting about 52, 54 megabytes a second. Yeah, we're way behind the rest of the world. We're the 5th largest economy, but we are 25th in terms of connectivity and speed in the UK. The fastest countries, Singapore and the likes, they're getting 200 megabytes a second download speed. Okay, 200 megs, that's faster than you're probably getting coming into your house on Wi-Fi. They're getting that on average. So that all these things affect how we do it. So if you look at my website, yeah, I've got a little bit of video in there, but I'm using some banners. But as we're now moving forward, we're using more video and creating, a nicer approach. And again, first impression, doesn't that look nice? You want chauffeur-driven service? Wow, this is telling you, this is appealing to you. Using some techniques as well, trust techniques, which I can go through. So this 7-second rules apply. So we've got the first impression, and then we've got the 7-second rule, all playing its part in these sites. So we'll go to another one here, which is a local company. Right, so this is a site we put live a couple of months ago, I think now. Really, this is really strong visual evidence of the credibility of this company. Anybody in doubt about the credibility of this business now? Yeah, no chance. You're seeing great fleet. Look at stock, the warehousing, and look at the actual facilities that they've got. So they would be dealing with a lot of blue chip clients. So someone coming to look at Brett's site, are getting exactly what Brett's want them to get. We're a professional organisation. We've got a big fleet, and first impression is superb. Okay, I can't stress enough how much the first impression makes. Because this is how people view your business. They've come away from a meeting with you, they'll go and research your business. The only sort of exception to that, as you should know from last week, is if you're actually running your stuff on LinkedIn. When you're solidly doing LinkedIn work, you can actually do quite a lot without having to do websites. So I know it's a bit of a contradiction in term, but I don't want to contradict myself from last week, because it is true that you can do a hell of a lot of work on LinkedIn without having to do website work. So next thing I want to look at is these conversion points, just in a little bit more detail, okay? So you can see here with ETCS that we can easily ring people if we want. We know the numbers. We also know that they're local. Yeah, this is important. So putting in an 0333 number or an 0800 number, you do have to be careful about that. But it is about what you market and understanding your customer. That's fundamental to what you're doing. So if you are trading nationally, then those numbers are good. But if you're dealing much more locally, this company is dealing in Peterborough, Cambridge and London, it's showing that it's got the numbers. Yeah, automatically, you know, when you see an 01733 number, you know it's a Peterborough business or it's a Cambridge business. So that's important. Contact us is in the right place. And if we click on it, we can see the location and we can see the telephone numbers. And very often as well, you can put maps into this area, and that's actually something I do recommend on some sites. Just go back to, so clicking on most people's logos will take you back to the home page, just as a little tester. This site isn't live, but I'll show mine for this. So just go on conversion. So we've got the contact us, we've got in the quick quote, so we can go for a quick quote as well and get the details in there, whatever we need to get a quote. Sometimes less is more on some of this stuff. The less questions you ask, the better, but it really depends on your own business, what you're trying to achieve. And obviously they've got the chat software. So if we just flip to my website on the chat software, you'll see down here, we've got Lottie, which is an additional conversion. I've just opened that up, but this will open within 20 seconds. So we've got all this stuff going on. This is really important. What we're trying to do is convert someone from being a visitor into an inquiry. The biggest single thing on there that will do that is that chat software, okay? Because that actually opens up after 20 seconds. Because the site's open, you can't see it doing that, but that will actually open in 20 seconds. So if you went onto my website now separately, you would see that open. I know some of you have just started. I think Dan Russell just put on one on there a couple of weeks ago, didn't you, Dan? I know he's had some, already some success from this. But when we start using this, it's giving us a lot of information, but the single biggest thing this is doing is allowing someone to chat to us. So the society we're in these days is all about instant gratification, okay? That we've come somewhere and we want an answer. Someone comes to my website, immediately they'll say, how much is it for our website? You know, clearly not enough information for me to give an answer to, but they have engaged with us as a business. They've asked a question, we're now talking. And this will happen when you put this on your website. It will create a way for people to engage with you. Now this chat software, so you know, it's not part of your website, it's just linked by a bit of code. So if you want this on your website, you know, certainly talk to me afterwards and I'll tell you how it can be done. And if not, watch next week's event. I'll go into a lot more detail, but it is what I call a game changer. What's important about it, and let me tell you this, is if that sits in the bottom there offline, it's useless. If it sits and doesn't open up, it's virtually useless. Okay, it must open after 20 seconds. If it doesn't do that, you need to fix it. There's HubSpot. I've got HubSpot, the fastest growing CRM system in the world, the second largest CRM system in the world. It doesn't open up, which means you will not get the conversions from it, which is why I don't put it on our sites. Well, I love HubSpot, but you need this to open. I can't emphasize how important that is. I think it probably means you may need to get a paid version of it, but the paid version of this stuff is about £15 a month. That allows me to see, straight away have a chat. So conversions are singularly the biggest thing you want. Will you get someone to fill out a contact form? These days, quite difficult, but they still will do it. Yeah. Want to just cover off while we're here GDPR. If you're taking contact details from anybody, you really should have them agree to your privacy policy. That's the law in Europe, and they agree to it. If they agree to marketing as well, happy days. Yeah. Because what that basically means is you're taking their details onto your server, and by law, they need to know what your privacy policy is. Okay. So that's pretty much the important aspects of conversions. Okay. So basically, people are moving away from these chat forms. So the fact that you've got them, it's good to have them. Okay, so some of them, some of our sites here on social media, we're offering quick quotes. In some of them, we offer we offer the forms inside, so you can put the forms actually on each page if you choose to do that. Just see some other examples. But the ability to quickly move is important, yeah? And get your quote, get your contact us, do your telephone number. Okay, next important things I want to talk about really is navigation, okay? And this is very often overlooked, okay? How you navigate through a site. So remember I said to you, 50% of your visitors at the moment are going to come to your homepage. Again, you can look at your Google Analytics and see that this is a fact for you or not. It can change depending on what advertising you're doing. But if someone comes to your homepage, can they see what your services are? Now, if you've got a load of services, it might be difficult. But you can see here, we've got a line of space across the website here in Joseph Creative. And it's not by chance that our website, our social media, and our Google Ads jump out, yeah? Because that's where we generate most of our revenue, okay? So if someone's come to our website and they've got to our homepage, because there's lots of ways you can get to the homepage. Your website is on your marketing material, your website's on your emails, it may be in various different places. So it's quite easy for people to end up here. Can they see what they want straight away from the core services that you offer? Now, I can't put all my services across here because there's too many. If I go into design and I go into digital marketing, there's just loads of stuff we do that you wouldn't be aware of, yeah? But they're not core to what we do. So I'm putting them in a different area, yeah? So if you want to go and look at them, you can look at them, yeah? We do a relative startup packages, we do, yeah? But actually, the key services I'm making available. So on your website, are you hiding away any of your core services? Yeah, that doesn't mean so you always have to do that. So if we look at ETCS again, we can see they've got a host of services. So we're using the banner to bring through some of their services, but actually their services are listed in navigation. It's still nice and straightforward. If I was to attempt to try and list that all out here, it would be very clumsy, busy. We don't want busy websites. We need clean, contemporary websites. So the compromise is that we're putting services into here. So if I get here and I'm going to go services, we know services are going to be in here. And there we are, nice and straightforward. But we can also isolate certain services in different areas. So if I look at Brett's, you see Brett's, we've used this theory where haulage, distribution and storage, that's what Brett's do. That's their core stuff. They do have some IT stuff they're doing, technology, but we've got that under other services. You see where we're picking out the main stuff. And then further down, we'll then pick out the main items again. Yeah, so we can get to these things. Look how many ways we can get to the same places, because people do surf differently. But as a rule, we're looking for our navigation across the top. If we start looking, we're coming across it again visually. And as we come down, if we missed it, we've got it again. So don't worry about having multiple ways of getting to the same areas of your website. But what's important is the navigation is as simple as possible. We'll all know about one click away. Yeah, well, that's important. And I'll show you mobile after this in terms of how mobile is affected by these things. Mobile can be hugely affected by how your design on your desktop is looking. So you can see navigation is important, where you put things and where you want to put certain items. Just drag that down. So next is one page per service. So I get a phone call and it will say to me, can you build me a one-page website? That's what I'm looking for. You know, I want a one-page website. Well, you know, how can that work? One page with everything you do? Well, it doesn't work. It's as simple as that. Google doesn't recognize it. Okay, Google can't read the information from a one-page website. It's going to have everything about your company on one page. When Google looks at it and its robots go all over it, it won't understand basically what your website is doing. So what's important is that we have a page for every core product that we're doing, or core service that we have. One page per core service. If you've got a lot of services, then that's what you need. You're offering those services and you want them to be offered to your consumer or your business-to-business customer, then you need one page per service. Don't mix things up. Now, the only exception to that would be is if you were really concentrating on a certain element, but you also do something else. Yeah, so you want to tell people that you also do it, but you don't really want to promote it. That's fine. Yeah. Other than that, it's one page per service. So if we go to Brett's again, you know, we've got a haulage page. I'm going to talk about haulage. Yeah. And show lots of different things on haulage, distribution, and storage. Now, what's important on all these things, and the reason why that it works in this way, is what I'm going to lead into now, is really your SEO. Yeah. So your SEO is governed by a number of different things, but basically what's on your page. Yeah. So it's what we call internal SEO. So SEO is all encompassing about how people might get to your website, which is known as search engine optimization. But actually on websites, we call it internal SEO. So what is on your website that people can understand what is there. And really, really critical, a good example of this is ETCSs. Let's just look at Fixwire's a really good one. So when we're looking here, the first thing on SEO is what is the title of the page actually in the URL itself. Now, a critical error that a lot of companies make is that will say services or something like that. Services, what is a service? It doesn't mean anything. So what's really important in the page is that it tells the actual page title. This is used by SEO, it's used by Google, Bing, everybody. This is a major part. If you're doing Google AdWords and don't have this right, it will not work. And if it does work, it won't work correctly and you'll be paying a lot of money. So you can see here, fixed wire testing is in the URL. Yeah, it doesn't matter what point it is, but it needs to be in there. And then as we come down, fixed electrical testing and fixed wire testing will be mentioned through. Over. Sorry, oh, it's Alexa. Is mentioned in this page. So we go to pat testing. Pat testing is quite a slang word, but it is the most commonly used search phrase. So this is something you have to be careful of. Put yourself in your customer's eyes. What are they going to search for in terms of your service? Because whilst this might be portable appliance testing, if I called that page portable appliance testing, it would have an immediate negative effect on the search capability of this particular service. It needs to be pat testing. That's what people search for when they look for pat testers. Not sure if these guys are currently on. There we go. Okay, just Googled it. Pat testing Peterborough, #1 on Google, ahead of everybody else. And guess what? 01733. You can see that they're a Peterborough company. Who are you going to go for? Yeah, you're going to go for them. And that's all happening simply because of what I'm saying to you here, that we've got the right domain, we've got the right headline, and then inside here, no more, this is an important thing, no more than 3% usage of the core keyword that you're looking at. So if you overcook this, it will form a negative effect on your website. And in fact, if you really go badly, Google will put a red marker against you, and that's game over, full stop. Build yourself a new website type thing. Okay, so you see how I'm getting information into there, but this is all really a page. You can see why now we've got to do a page. Can you imagine if I had lots of different things on here? Google can't possibly rate my service. Google's #1 thing is to deliver what you searched for back to you. Yeah. So if the quality of your page isn't good enough, Google can't do that. Therefore, even if you're paying Google, it will not produce your results. And you've just seen the results that we're looking at here. Look at that, second this time. Yeah. So you can see I'm not making it up and not just making it up. This is just what's going on. And this is Google for you. So #2 here, that's still a good result because Direct 365 is using an 0800 number. Again, we're using an 01733 number. So there's a good chance we'll still psychologically get the click here, yeah, because we're using the Peterborough number. And so that's important. We don't necessarily have to be in Peterborough, yeah, but when we're advertising for Peterborough, using the Peterborough number is important. Everyone get that? So that's really covering off page titles, but just in case I didn't emphasize that enough, it's also making sure that these headlines, yeah, are working in line with the titles. So this headline here is a major SEO factor, okay? So it's ranked really importantly in terms of how Google and the search engines are actually saying what it is this page is all about. So if you're trying to be clever and not putting your main headline in, I don't know why you would be. Make sure your headline is correct and that it aligns in here, and then you talk about it a little bit, yeah? So one thing you can cover off on this, which I'll just stop sharing this page and pick up another one, okay? Just as we're on the subject of, oh, we've got some late joiners there. Oops, Daisy. I'm just going to share another page here. Now, this, whilst it looks the same, I've pulled the website up in Firefox. I don't know if any of you use Firefox, but Firefox is really used by web developers. And the reason why I'm pulling it up is I want to show you meta tags without going into the back end. So what is a meta tag? Well, meta tags go back years, and in the old days were everything to do with how your website would be found, having a meta tag on your site. Really what it is, I'm going to show you in here. So I'm in Firefox. You guys can do this on your own website if you want. Go into Firefox and then go into Tools, Web Developer, Page Source, okay? You can do this on your competitor. So if you're thinking your competitor's doing really well on Google, why are you not doing so well? This is what you can do. Have a look. You just saw Pat Testing come up #1, yeah? And you can see against Meta, these meta tags are things that this company is going to come up for, yeah? So, and you can do that on anybody's website. You can see what source they have, what keywords are sitting inside their meta tag descriptions that why they're getting such good results. Look at mine, so pull up mine, Tools, Web Developer, Page Source, and again in here, we can see some of these meta tags. Creative Web Design, SEO Enhanced. It's in here. This main area will show it, and you're looking under Meta when you're looking for these things. So that's an important one. Where will you put that one? All websites are different, to be honest with you. So in our websites, there's specific areas where we put in keywords. The more modern the website, there'll be more modern use of the way this works. But these things are still important because it fundamentally just tells Google and the search engines what everything's about. Another thing you want to be doing is tagging your imagery, okay? So generally speaking, while things are better, imagery really can't be read as well as we'd like it to be. An image can't be read by these robots quite in the same way as what the image is. So what is that image about? So you see here, that is an image. Whilst it says web design in there, that is like a Photoshop image. So Google can't tell that that's web design. So in the background, you see now, you can see when I do this, yeah, here we go. You'll see it pop up web design services in a second. That means that the page is tagged. So there's what we call an alt image tag on that image. So are all your images on your website tagged? Again, it just tells the likes of Google what it is on that page. It just helps emphasize what's going on. So that's really sort of a lot to do with internal SEO. So go into your back end and add in what it is your company does on each page, and each page has to be different and has to be about what your services are. So about you as the company, but then specifically on the service. Don't try and trick Google. Google's bigger than NASA. So don't try and trick it by trying to put loads of words in there. It doesn't work. Just write it in a sensible form. But you can, as I say, you can make sure that you do it correctly, just using the same terminologies in line with your page titles so that you're keeping consistent. Other bit I want to go into here is what you'll know about, guys, is the SSL certification. So I don't know, most of you probably by now will have an SSL certificate, which is basically a padlock on your website. Just going in here, HTTPS. So this is obviously really important. If you don't have this, you need to have it, and it will keep on having a bigger and bigger impact on where your website will be showing. So the S for the security is this S here. So a normal site with no security, you just HTTP. If it has the S, it means it's secure. What does secure mean? It means that when you give some details over, when someone puts their details into your website, they move securely to your server and can't be compromised. Yeah. If you don't have that, there's basically an area for your data to be compromised and taken by someone. Okay. So you can think about someone's going to go onto the website and they're going to think, well, okay, what's going on? So just trying to think of a site that might be unsecure. There's not that many these days. Anybody know any sites that are unsecure? Want me to pull up? Let me just go into the screen. I did a bit of research actually yesterday. So this site here is not secure. Forgive me if I'm embarrassing this person. Hopefully they're not online, but I'm just trying to show you that what this looks like. Okay, for those of you this is what Google will now show to anybody coming to this site. Not secure. Yeah. Who's going to put the contact details into a site that has got a not secure status on their website? Nobody, because your data is going to be could be compromised easily enough. And so avoid that at all costs. I'll come away from there now. I won't embarrass that person anymore. So next thing I want to look at, so we've got through 8 key items. So each of those 8, as I say, the most important is the first impression, but you can see how they're all performing an importance to how your website's going to actually perform. And as you add each of these up, we talk about being 10% better than our competitor. Yeah, but we want to be 10% better than our competitor in every area. So over 10 items, I can be 100% better than my competitor if I take an approach to be 10% better in each area. So another area which gets a bit of attention, but really this isn't a game changer, but what it is just an easy way when working with other elements, so social media and blogs. So I'm going to open a blog up. So here's our blog. We don't do a lot of blogs. A lot of people do a lot of blogging. But really, this is all about how you put stuff into one area on your website. So a blog really is just lots of mini web pages on a single page. So you can see here we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and on we go. Yeah, we've got lots and lots of information about things that we like. Why is that important? Well, let's say you do a social media post today. How long do you think it lasts? On Facebook, about 3 hours. Instagram, similar. TikTok, even less. LinkedIn, you might get a day or so out of a post. So you put all that effort into your post and it's just gone. It's gone. It's hopefully done something, but it's gone. Another factor is if you're doing this yourself, when you're doing social media, what time of day did you do it? Well, it depends on how well organized you are. You may have organized it to do it exactly the optimum time, but more likely you've posted on social media when it's convenient for you. Okay, which is not good. You post on the social media. I mean, we are in lockdown, which means social media is much more active during the day. So we've all got time, any time between 10 and 2 o'clock is probably quite active at the moment. But in normal circumstances, you put a post onto social media at 10 o'clock in the morning, you've just posted it into the graveyard. No one's going to see it. Yeah, and then it's going to be gone in 3 hours' time as well. So what the advantage you get of a blog is a number of different things. One, we actually create a semi-permanent record of our post if we want to. We can put it up there. Let's say it's a bit more of an article. We can put it on there, and it's now there. It's now going to have a lifespan of quite some time. Yeah. So that's a positive. Second thing is we can write these articles when we've got time. So let's say it's a Sunday night and you've got all these ideas for the week. You can start to write your posts, and you can keep them in the background of your website written as well, and you can publish them on the day you want them to go live. But you can share them. More importantly, you can share these posts from most websites. You can see I've got sharing icons. I can share this post at the right time. This post needs to be shared, not particularly when I wrote it, but when I want it to be shared. So typically on your social media, that would be 5, 6 o'clock at night when people are coming onto it and having a look at it. Right now, it's anyone's guess when the best time is. But we're not talking about now. We're talking about when we're back in business as usual and people are forming their own their old type of habits again. You can have your own habits where you organize yourself a little bit differently on your social media, but you can use your blog to do this. So that's quite a key thing, I think. It's the single most important thing about the blog. People talk about the blog updating your website and Google likes it. Yes, it does. It's another benefit. If you update your blog on your website, you have done work on your website. The indexing of your website, that will be notified with Google, will see that when it crawls your site. It will like it. It knows you're live. I think you remember the opening statistic is there's 1.7 billion websites in play in the world today. So yours is one of 1.7 billion. So Google can't get to everything. So there are websites out there that are not live. So the ability to keep your website active is going to help its ranking. But trust me, it's not that significant. Okay, it's good to do it. Yeah. What is significant is you post a blog, yeah, and then you share it. When you're doing that sort of activity, that's important because now you're pushing it into your social media, and you can also make those blogs come back to your website depending on what platforms you're using. Bring people back to see more. So when you're sharing stuff from your website and bring them onto your website. Now, why are we bringing them to the website? Yeah. Think about this strategically. Here is Lottie waiting to capture you. When we bring traffic to the website, this is a strategy of, look, I'm doing a blog, wow, but I'm pushing it onto social media, and then I'm going to let you have more of that information if you click on it to bring you back to this website where Lottie is waiting to answer any questions you've got. This is a strategy of bringing people to the site and then engaging with them. Yeah, your website is your hub. It has all your credentials on. It has your business on. And this is what it should, and this is what I'm going back to initially. It's got to have all your stuff that you do. And then you bring people here, and this chat software is there to capture it. Yeah? So think about, and we'll talk about this next week, but all the different ways we can bring people back to the hub. Because once we get them here, and Lottie's here waiting, we're going to be able to have conversations. And conversations, inquiries, we start conversations, we've got a good chance of doing business. And that's all from a blog. Now, when people normally talk about blogs, they give you a load of bullshit that blogs are really great. They're going to get your website up there. And you can talk about, it's all bullshit. Okay, it has so little effect. The key is actually sharing it onto social media and getting people to come back onto your site. Okay, that's the important bit about blogs. So, yeah, they're not just fluffy. They can really work. So, good thing to point out. Again, you've got to be very careful. Some media like LinkedIn, be very careful how you link stuff back because LinkedIn doesn't like you coming off their site, as I said last week, as you guys know. So that's really important. Emphasize that a lot. If you're doing that stuff, guys, you're gonna make a difference. And hopefully you can see that is like a light bulb moment that this chat software is like a capture all thing. We're pushing ourselves out there, and when people come, we're going to have conversations with them. And trust me, I guarantee it, people will talk to you this way virtually more than any other way for most businesses. In our business, it's the #1 way people communicate to us is through chat. The last thing in my critical bit, and this is not overly technical, but it is important, is page speed insights. So write that down, page speed insights. This is something you can Google. This is a Google tool and shows you how fast your website is loading. And you can do specific pages on this. And it also does it in mobile and desktop. So again, see how important it is to understand whether it's mobile or desktop and how your business is orientating to which one. So it's all right, people saying mobile is growing, but if you've got 70% traffic from your desktop, yes, you need to be aware of it, but don't focus on it because you may damage your actual desktop. So this is what this does for Google. This is a developer's guide. Google have this to measure the speed your website opens. This is a massive factor. Statistically, that I've read, is you'll get a 7% drop off in performance for every 1 second that it takes your website to load. The most successful websites in the world load in milliseconds, but generally speaking, we want a website to open within a couple of seconds. That's really what we're after. What this site does, it actually gives you a score. Now, one thing, what's going to affect page speeds? One, the technology that you're on. How modern is the technology? And why is that? So I'm going to show you now. So here's my website. Okay. I'm going to take this, copy that. I'm going to put that in here. Now my website is 5 years old in June. Okay, it looks quite good. Which is why we haven't changed it, because it's still looking good and it performs well. I've got no complaints with it. But we are 6, 7 generations on, even in our own world now. Okay, mobile's not scoring well. That's not a problem for me. I don't do business with consumers. My desktop's scoring 81. Okay, fundamentally, this is now a technology issue with the way the site loads. Yeah, because it's a slightly older technology. An 81 score, I'm not going to bin it off with an 81 score. Okay, but if I look to this website here, Hampton Exec, it's a website we built this year. I bet you're all interested in putting your own websites in now, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Okay. So these guys do chauffeur-driven stuff for business executives. So very much target businesses. 55 score on mobile, a 92 score on desktop. So what's happening here is modern technology by itself is now pushing this site forward. So what our websites do today is when you load down a page for Hampton Exec, it loads in 1 page at a time. So if you drop on a service, it just brings in that 1 page. Older sites bring in the entire website. Yeah, every page is coming in. And so it slows the website up and therefore makes it slower. And that has a direct effect on your conversions. How long do you give it when you're surfing something and the page is not loading? You don't give it long, a few seconds, then you're going to go somewhere else. So in the 10 critical elements, page speed is high, and you can use this guide. This is a guide as well. Okay. Also, just do it manually, and don't use your own computers for this. And if you are doing it, do it in incognito mode. Do we know what incognito mode is, folks? So it's surfing with no history. Otherwise, what will happen is your computer, if you're just doing a normal search, your computer will use its cache memory and actually bring up the last visual recording, if you like, of your website, and therefore it will have an impact and it'll make it look like your website's loading fast, and you'll go, oh no, it's really quick, but it's not. It's just loading from your computer's memory. Yeah. If you do a Google search in incognito mode or private mode, then it will load it privately up. It won't go anywhere reference it, and you'll see physically how quick you think your website is doing. But use this as well as a guide. Okay. So I've covered off the 10 critical bits, but really one of the areas I want to show you just separately is a little bit of mobile optimization. Okay, so I'm going to share screen again. Just click through these elements. Okay, so obviously I'm on a desktop and I'm trying to show you what a mobile looks like. And here's an example of a website that's got some mobile optimization going on. So first thing you can see is how all websites go vertical. Yeah, so when we go from a desktop and we then drop to a mobile view, we're going into a vertical situation. So Exquisite is effectively an estate agency brand dealing with consumers. So you can see what's happening here. Check this on your own site, on your mobile. Is your brand locking out? Okay. And is your telephone number being made available? Bear in mind now, and it is bonkers, but we are looking at people here from a mobile perspective. So I'll show you another website. This is mine. Okay, so we're on someone's mobile. So the easiest thing in the world for them to do is click on those telephone numbers if they want to call you. You've got they've got their phone in their hand. Your telephone numbers are there, and in a mobile responsive way, those numbers I'm showing you here, they can just be clicked, and you straight away will ring our office. Yeah, so we're not having to do anything. Now, I said to you right at the beginning of this presentation that you think your mobile numbers, your telephone numbers, your landlines are all at the top of your page. Now check on a mobile. Are they there? There's a very, very big chance they won't be there. There's also a very big chance that as you scroll down, your numbers disappear. So people go looking for your number. Where is it? This is a real critical fact. Probably 80% of websites that I look at fail on this bit alone. They don't hold their branding, they don't hold their telephone numbers in the right area, and it's very difficult because they haven't really looked at their mobile. They're not mobile optimized in any way at all. People go looking on your website mobile and can't find you. What a disaster. Can't find your telephone number, just cheese them off straight away. Really what I want to show you as well, what do we call mobile optimization? We'll look at the visual now. Look at me going down here. You can see the key areas again, yeah, of service. Do you see the way the key areas are coming back into play again? Yeah, so we've got, just pause that, oops, turn it on a bit. This is actually going into a different area. But the key areas of my website on the homepage are now coming in to the mobile. Yeah, I don't do any businesses with consumers. Yeah, but still I'm just taking account of the fact that I want it to show correctly when someone comes. So I'll just pause it here, if I can, too quick. But the 6 key services are straight away available. So the things you do they appear when someone scrolls down your website? The key things you do, or are they lost and you can't see them? So that's really important. You also can see that this is flashing. If you've got chat software, a little message button will flash here saying there's a communication. Yeah, there's something to be said. So this is all covering off mobile optimization. So are your services easily available? Are your telephone numbers locked? Is it locked here? And is it easy to navigate your mobile? There's actually a lot more to the mobile stuff, but I think they're the key elements. Okay, well, as you know, I'm very generous. Some of you have this done actually on here, our customers of mine, so you have this. But this is something I'll do for you if you email me. I'll do you a free website audit. This is more technical now. So all the things we've been talking about is what I specialize in, which is commercial, making your website commercial so that it works. But actually, this is what we call a website audit. And it actually looks at 4 overall areas: an overall position of your website in terms of a score, how the content is rated. So does it understand the content, and how does it rate it from 100? The SEO, so measuring the areas I showed you, and it gives you a score. And then a user experience of your website is rated at this. So email me. My email's in the chat, and I'll do one of these for you free. It might not be today, but you'll certainly get it over the course of the week, and you'll see how you actually score. But what is probably more important than those scores is that these audits indicate any breaks in your website. Have you got broken links? Have you got spelling errors? Have you got grammatical errors? Have you got pages loading too slowly? Are your images optimized? So say when you're talking about a page speed of a loading page speed, you might just have huge images in there that take a long time to download. Yeah, and actually all you need to do is just change the size of that, fix it. So there could be really simple fixes, and this is what this does: grammar, spelling, all sorts of stuff, and all sorts of technical stuff that I haven't gone into today about sitemaps and stuff like that. So drop me an email and I'll send you that over free of charge. Don't worry, I won't annoy you, but you will get the report over to you. Second thing that I also really recommend that you do, if you're on a WordPress site, okay, we offer this as maintenance. I'm not selling to you, but I'm warning you that if you're using a WordPress site and you're not using a maintenance package of some sort, there's a very, very high likelihood is that you'll come a cropper, especially if you're on WordPress. WordPress is very secure. A lot of people say it's not secure. It is secure. The problematical thing with WordPress is that they use a lot of plugins. So you can, and that's positive. You can plug this in, plug that in, and it's a really quick way of getting high, real proper technical stuff working on your website. That would take a developer a lot of money, cost, and time to do. You just grab it on WordPress and it's done. But what happens is that guy who developed that decides that he's not going to support it anymore. Okay, and so, but it's still plugged into your website. And what happens is that the plugin becomes unsecure, but the plugin is linked to your website. Yeah. And so that makes your website vulnerable if that plugin becomes out of date. And so it needs to be updated. What also makes your website vulnerable is not updating your website as well. And on WordPress, you need to update it immediately the update is available. So what these maintenance packages do is that we do these updates for you, and they're done every month, and you're reported. And we get lots of things you won't believe. It'll be, we can't back up the site because maybe a plugin has stopped a backup working. So now your site's not getting backed up. Some of you might be on websites that you think are getting backed up, but they're not getting properly backed up. And so one day you'll go for your backup and it won't be there. So this type of maintenance, and this is if you're WordPress related. We build also in Umbraco. We don't need this sort of level of protection. We don't have the plugins. It's not, the risks aren't there. So moving forward. Okay, we go on to the next webinar, guys. So that's next Tuesday, same time, 11 o'clock. Try and be on time if possible. 11 a.m., try and get in earlier. I usually open up at 10:45. And what I want to go through here is chat software in detail, so you can see exactly what is inside the chat software, what it's capturing, what it's doing. It will astound you what's going on. Then visitor tracking. Now, visitor tracking is for businesses only. It's illegal to track consumers. It does not track consumers. It only tracks businesses. But it will tell you that companies are looking at you, and it will show you what they're looking at. Actually, very impressive, okay? Just to give you a light little insight into it, this is a screenshot from yesterday from my site, showing you, it doesn't say who they are, yeah? It says when they come onto the site, and it shows you where they came from. Google is, someone's done a Google search, so you naturally expect quite a lot of Google work to be going on. My Google AdWords is turned off, but if I had it on, it would actually show that that was a paid activity. And these searches are coming from Yahoo. Well, actually, Yahoo, don't we often think Yahoo, what's going on with Yahoo? I've never heard of Yahoo's not really doing much these days. It's still about the 4th busiest website in the world. And you can see it's bringing searches in here. And it will show you all the information. And I'll go into this in more detail, but I just wanted to show you an idea of what's going on. So chat software isn't just as clever as having a communication, it's capturing data, quite important data. I'll go into that in more detail next week. And then visitor IP tracking. Now, I call this leaving food on the table. We're all sitting there going, how do I get inquiries? And scratching our head and saying, how do we get inquiries? That's what we do. We generate inquiries, and we're good at it. But what people sometimes don't realize is that this company's been looking at me, yeah? And look at the amount of information I know about this company. Yeah, I can see who they are, where they trade. I can go and see them on LinkedIn, Google+. I can see them on YouTube. I can see how many times they've been on my site. Historically, four visits. So 4 times they've now come to see me. What are they looking at? Oh, here, this is what they're looking at. All this stuff here, yeah? And from this information, I can actually establish whether I believe they're a customer or if they're trying to supply me something. So people visit your websites for a number of reasons. Either to sell you something or to buy from you. Yeah, the primary reasons. And you need to work out which it is. But obviously now I know information. So what should I do? Well, my marketing can now cut in. I can do things if I want here, yeah? If I choose to, because I've been given enough information to do something. I might choose to send a flyer out about web design. I might send them a letter about web design. I might send them something about LinkedIn, or I might give them a call. Yeah, all available to do. So this is sitting on your website right now. If you're doing, this is available. And this is, I'll go into that in more detail next week. Hopefully I haven't bored you too much on this stuff. But that is the end of the presentation, guys.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Very good, as always.
1 hour, 5 minutes. Not bad, eh?
Mhm.
Went very quickly.
Especially for a chatterbox like me, because that could have been, 2 hours easy.
Well done.
Okay, I hope you liked it. Let me just see if we've got any chats. We'll just see if we've got any questions. I'll quickly go through those. That's Dan. Thanks, Dan, saying the pop-up's very good. We put one on there a little while ago, didn't we, Dan? It's starting to pay off now.
Yeah, a few weeks. Yeah, very good.
So even in lockdown, I think you've got a couple of inquiries come through on that recently.
Yeah, 2 on Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It will actually be busy on your phone once you get using this properly. Simon said it's been great. Thanks, Simon. Does the blog still need 300 word rule, please? Yeah, I mean, I think as I said earlier, I think blogs really have the advantage when you're sharing them into social media. Okay, they don't really do much more than that. They are updating your website. 300 word rule, I don't think it applies anymore. It's just not strong enough in terms of pushing stuff through. Depends how niche things are. Is Google going to find it? Niche, but what your blog does want to be is give you a little bit of credibility about whatever the subject matter is. Tracy, will having a video on your website slow the opening speed? Yeah, potentially it may do, exactly, Tracy, if you have a video that comes in, and it really depends on how your website deals with it. So a modern website like you saw with Hampton Exec there, it had a 92 score, because what it does basically is it brings the image through first and then brings the video in behind it. It doesn't stop the page loading. So if your website is trying to bring the video in at the same time as loading, it will slow it down, and it will have a major effect on any Google campaigns you've got, any advertising you're doing, any optimization. Really important to understand that if your website can handle it as an image first, then video. Amy, thank you so much for this, so helpful, thank you. John Minister, everyone, Control-Shift and N for an incognito on Chrome. So Control-Shift-N will give you an incognito search. So basically, you're not invisible, but you will see that the point I was making about the cache, when you're trying to see how quick your website loads in the real world, sometimes these tools like Google Speed just sometimes give you a wrong reading. And so you might think, oh, it's loading quite fast. If you do the incognito and you check it yourself and you're happy with it, then that's what's happening. Yeah, check it elsewhere. Don't get too concerned about those scores. They're just a little tool. Kathy, thanks, Joseph. I'll have to go now. Okay, well, Kathy must have gone. Bye, Kathy. Tracy, website audit. No problem, Tracy. I'll get that over to you. I've got WordFence. Is that okay? I'll have to do a bit of research on that, Paul, to have a look at that. Don't know much about that. Awesome stuff. Thanks from John. Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Thanks. Great presentation. Thanks. Need to sign off. Thanks. Thanks again. So lots of thank yous. Appreciate that. As I say, you can email me at Joseph Creative. Anything to do with websites that you want free audit, email me there as well. And thanks ever so much for coming to join me on a Tuesday morning. Have a lovely day and enjoy the weather if you can with your 1 hour of exercise.